Hi, welcome to Caribou Country Lifestyle. My name is Cheryl. My son asked me actually his fiance asked me if I would be able to bring their cast iron pan back to life. So this is their cast iron pan. It was actually full of rust. So my husband Jamie took his little, it's a brush, like a metal brush, and he basically rubbed out all of the rust out of this pan. This is their pan. It's a pretty good size cast iron pan. And I also have some cast iron pans that I would like to have a coating on them again. We're finding that some of our food is sticking to it, so you can see it. Well, it's kind of dull in spots. It's not a nice glistening oil finish on it. This one is actually probably the best out of all of them. And then I have a couple of small ones here that we use for frying eggs. And even when you season these and get them prepared so that they are ready to use with eggs, you always want to add a little bit extra fat, oil, butter, anything like that, because eggs do have a tendency to stick to your cast iron frying pans. When I'm going to be seasoning these, I am actually going to use, this is lard that we had rendered from our pig's fat when we were raising pigs. We don't raise pigs anymore. Our property is not big enough to raise pigs, so we only have laying hens that we are raising. We could raise bees as well, but don't think that would be such a good idea since we do have lots of bears in this area. And 3 years ago, one of the bears got into our chicken coop, ripped the doors right off. So having honey and bee hives set up, I don't think that's the best option for where we live. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be adding a couple of tablespoons of this lard into each pan. And I'm just going to turn my pan, I'm going to start at medium just to get that lard melted. And then I'm going to do the same for this one. I'll do the biggest pans first. And then I'll move on to the smaller pans. Okay. And have that on medium as well. And while this is melting, I am also going to turn both my ovens on. I have a double wall oven, so that actually works out really well for me to be able to do all of my cast iron pans at this time. And it might seem like a lot of lard that I'm using, but I am not only going to be doing the inside of these pans, I will be doing the outside, the handle, the bottom, everything. And then what I'm going to do is put a foil-lined cookie sheet in the bottom of my oven, and it will catch any excess drips that may end up being on the pan, or that may drip from these pans. So I'm going to turn this one off. I have some paper towel, and I'm just going to bring it up along the inside, get that nice and coated. also do the handle. I'm taking some of these pans, I'm just going to set this one on top over so that I can turn it over and do the bottom. And I want to make sure I get it in all the little crevices. Including the back of the handle. I'll turn this one back over. How warm is that? That one's not too bad. So, just going to flip this one over as well. Just need a little bit more grease of the lard. Want to make sure it's well coated. And I'll flip this one back over, and I'll be able to do the bottom of this one as well. Touching the handle, making sure it's not hot, because I do not want to burn myself, knowing that that would be hot. Okay, and I'll flip this one over as well, and then do the bottom. Of this one. Okay, now I've done, pretty sure I've done insides and outsides of all of these, and I already did the little ones here too. Okay, now I'll just wait for my oven to get preheated. I've turned it on to a 350 degrees. Okay, oven in the bottom is ready, so I'm just going to put one of these foil lined trays into the bottom oven. And like I say, that's just to catch any drip. So we'll put the two biggest pans in the bottom. They just barely fit, those two big ones. And then I'll put, there's my other one, I'll put this medium sized one and these two small ones in the top one. I'll just put this other foil lined sheet. Oop, get over there. And that. Strategically set these in here. And then we will I'll set my timer for 1 hour. I'll keep them in the oven at a 350 degree oven for 1 hour. And then what I'm going to do is turn the oven off and leave the pans in my oven until they are cooled right off. When I bring them out of the oven, then they'll be ready to go. Okay, it's time to take these cast iron pans out of the oven. It's been a while and I have checked them. This is my son's cast iron pan. Looks good. Here's mine. That's looking good. I mean, ours were already seasoned. Got a little bit of paper towel stuck from wiping up that fat, the excess fat off of there. That's okay. And then there's my little pans, and even that excess little bit of residue of oil on them is totally fine. And there's my other one. So and my medium-sized one. So some of these pans I have gotten from secondhand stores. Like I go to Value Village, which is a secondhand store, and that's where I've picked up Lodge frying pans. Those are a really good name brand. I have a Paderna frying pan, cast iron, and that's from Canadian Tire. And then I've picked up a couple of cast iron pans that don't have any name on them at all. So I'm not even sure where my son got his cast iron frying pan from. So it's pretty simple to season your own cast iron frying pans. I think the hardest part really is getting the rust off of them. Like my husband, he used a wire brush to scrape the rust off of the pans, but I know you can even put them in hot water and really give them a good scrub. I've got this brush here. That's a good cast iron brush. That is actually specifically made for scrubbing cast iron. I've even used these nylon scrubbers for scrubbing the cast iron. And once you gave it a good scrub in hot water, cast irons actually don't like to be put in soapy water. So usually, but because my son has autism and we get him to do the dishes, it's hard for him to differentiate not putting dishes into soapy water, but cast iron pans actually do not like to be put in soapy water. So usually if I'm washing a cast iron pan, I will use this brush and I will just use hot water and I will scrub the pan, and then I put it in my drying rack and I let it air dry. If I need to dry it, I will take a paper towel and dry it with that. I a lot of times do not use my tea towel to dry my cast iron pans because it will sometimes leave a dirty residue on your tea towels when you're trying to dry them off. So just a little tip for that. So anyways, that's what we do with seasoning our cast iron frying pans. I hope you found this helpful, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.